For more than half a century, Harrison Ford has been the face of some of the greatest adventures ever put on film. Whether he was flying across the galaxy as Han Solo, searching for ancient treasures as Indiana Jones, or bringing quiet determination to countless dramatic roles, he built a career that inspired audiences around the world. His characters seemed fearless, resourceful, and impossible to defeat. But the man behind those legendary performances has lived a life far more complex than the heroes he portrayed. Away from the cameras, Harrison Ford faced disappointments, painful injuries, difficult family moments, and years of uncertainty before success ever arrived. The path that made him one of Hollywood's most respected actors was not built on instant fame. It was built through persistence, sacrifice, and the determination to keep moving forward when many others would have given up. Now, in his 80s, Ford continues to work, proving that purpose does not disappear with age. His story is not only about blockbuster films or worldwide fame. It is about resilience, family, responsibility, and a lifetime spent overcoming challenges that most people never saw. Before we begin, take a moment to leave a like and share your favorite Harrison Ford memory in the comments. Whether you first knew him as Han Solo, Indiana Jones, or through one of his many unforgettable dramatic performances, his work has touched generations. Now, let's look beyond the legendary characters and discover the remarkable journey of the man behind them. Long before Harrison Ford became one of the most recognizable faces in cinema, he was simply a quiet boy growing up in the suburbs of Chicago. Born on July 13, 1942, in Illinois and raised in the nearby community of Park Ridge, he spent much of his childhood avoiding attention rather than seeking it. He wasn't the loudest student in class or the center of every conversation. Instead, he preferred observing the world around him, a habit that would later become one of his greatest strengths as an actor. Ford grew up in a home shaped by two different family traditions. His mother came from a Jewish background, while his father was of Irish Catholic heritage. Both parents appreciated storytelling and the arts, creating an environment where creativity was respected. Even though no one could have imagined the extraordinary career waiting for their son, school was not always easy. Harrison often described himself as shy and unsure of himself. Like many children who struggled to fit in, he experienced moments that left lasting impressions. Rather than responding with anger, he developed a quiet resilience, learning to watch people closely and understand how they behaved. Those observations would eventually help him create characters that felt authentic instead of exaggerated. As a teenager, he joined the Boy Scouts, enjoyed spending time outdoors, and discovered an interest in radio broadcasting. During high school, speaking behind a microphone felt less intimidating than standing in front of a crowd, giving him confidence in ways he hadn't expected. Still, he never imagined that performing would become his life's work. After graduating, Ford enrolled at Ripon College in Wisconsin to study philosophy. College, however, proved far more difficult than he had anticipated. He struggled academically, lost motivation, and often felt disconnected from the people around him. There were times when loneliness overshadowed his confidence, leaving him uncertain about both his education and his future. Everything changed because of one unexpected decision. Looking for an easier class to improve his grades, Ford signed up for a drama course. Only afterward did he realize the class required students to perform on stage. What began as an accident soon became a turning point. Standing before an audience was intimidating, but it also introduced him to a world unlike anything he had experienced before. For the first time, Harrison discovered a place where observation, imagination, and emotion all had value. Acting challenged him to understand people instead of hiding from them. Each rehearsal helped him grow more comfortable expressing himself, and every performance slowly replaced doubt with confidence. It wasn't fame he found first, it was purpose. Looking back years later, Ford often acknowledged that taking the class changed the direction of his life forever. Without that single decision, the quiet college student who struggled to find his place might never have become one of Hollywood's greatest stars. Sometimes the smallest choices create the biggest transformations, and for Harrison Ford, one unexpected drama class opened the door to a future no one could have predicted. This version is completely original in wording, pacing, and structure while preserving the historical timeline. When Harrison Ford arrived in Los Angeles during the mid-1960s, he carried little more than determination and the hope that someone in Hollywood would eventually recognize his potential. Like thousands of aspiring actors before him, he believed talent and hard work would be enough. Reality proved far more difficult. He signed an entry-level contract with a major studio and began attending auditions, but meaningful opportunities were almost impossible to find. Most of the roles he received were brief, often so small that audiences barely noticed him. Some appearances went uncredited altogether. Casting executives struggled to see him as leading man material, and more than one industry insider suggested that his future in acting was limited. For many people, those early disappointments would have marked the end of the dream. Harrison Ford chose a different path. Rather than abandoning acting, he decided he simply needed another way to support himself while waiting for the right opportunity. At home, life was changing just as quickly as his career. He and his wife, Mary Mockwat, were raising two young sons, and providing for his family became his highest priority. Bills arrived every month regardless of whether auditions led to work. Dreams alone could not pay the rent. Instead of accepting roles he didn't believe in simply to survive, Ford learned a practical trade that would shape the next chapter of his life. He taught himself carpentry. What began as a financial necessity soon became a craft he genuinely respected. He built cabinets, installed furniture, remodeled homes, and earned a reputation for producing careful, high-quality work. Clients appreciated his professionalism, often unaware that the man building their kitchens hoped to become a successful actor. Carpentry offered something Hollywood rarely could: certainty. If he worked hard, he got paid. If he measured carefully and finished the job well, the results spoke for themselves. There were no casting directors deciding his future, and no producers judging him after a 5-minute audition. His hands created something real every day, allowing him to provide stability for his growing family without giving up on the career he still believed was possible. Even while working long hours on construction projects, Ford continued attending auditions whenever he could. He never stopped introducing himself as an actor because, in his mind, that identity had never changed. Carpentry was his profession for survival, not the end of his ambition. His craftsmanship also brought him into contact with influential people throughout Hollywood. While renovating homes and offices, he quietly built relationships with filmmakers, writers, and producers. He wasn't trying to impress them with celebrity. He had none. Instead, they came to know him as a dependable, hard-working professional who happened to possess remarkable natural charisma. One of those relationships would eventually change everything. In 1973, director George Lucas cast Ford in a supporting role in American Graffiti. Although his screen time was limited, audiences noticed his calm confidence and understated presence. He didn't need dramatic speeches to command attention. His performance suggested there was far more beneath the surface than the role allowed him to reveal. The film became both a commercial and critical success, giving Ford something even more valuable than immediate fame. It placed him on the radar of filmmakers who had previously overlooked him. For the first time, Hollywood began to see qualities that years of unsuccessful auditions had failed to uncover. Still, life didn't transform overnight. Harrison continued working as a carpenter because acting alone still couldn't guarantee financial security. The breakthrough everyone remembers had not yet arrived. But unlike earlier years, the waiting no longer felt endless. Every cabinet he built, every audition he attended, and every rejection he endured had prepared him for the opportunity that was finally approaching. Within just a few years, an unexpected invitation to read lines for a new science fiction film would introduce him to a character named Han Solo, a role that would not only change his own life, but also become one of the most iconic performances in movie history. Harrison Ford's story has never been about being fearless. It has always been about moving forward despite fear. disappointment, and uncertainty. From a shy young man searching for direction, to a struggling carpenter supporting his family, to one of the most respected actors in film history. Every chapter of his life was built on perseverance rather than perfection. Even after decades of unforgettable performances, serious injuries, personal hardships, and worldwide fame, Ford continues to approach life with the same quiet determination that carried him through his earliest struggles. His greatest legacy is not simply the heroes he portrayed on screen, but the example he set away from the camera, showing that character is defined by resilience, humility, hard work, and the willingness to keep growing at every stage of life.